Ladies and gentlemen, we want to talk about why do I like so much the DCEU? I mean, there are a ton of other DC products out there. Okay, we have the CW that's playing on CBS, and it's a partnership with CBS and Warner Brothers. Okay, and the CW features all these characters: Supergirl, the Flash, the Green Lantern, known in his TV series as Lantern. We got Legends of Tomorrow. I think they're going to have Black Lightning very soon. So all of these are awesome, right? Yeah, I'm not really interested in those. I'm not plugged in heavily into the CW. Then you got on Fox Gotham, all right? And that's kind of darkish. And I really haven't watched a full episode of Gotham. So why is it that the DCEU is something that attracts me? Now, if some of you are like me, you love the DC, you can't wait for the next DCEU film, but you're not really into the television series of DC. You're into DC Comics, but maybe you're not just into any of the television series, or you're not really into even the cartoons on Cartoon Network. There's the Justice League action. You're not really into the DC animation either. You haven't watched Justice League Dark. You haven't watched The Killing Joke. Then I got to tell you guys this. There's got to be something that motivates you to want to see the DCEU. And if you're not really into Marvel either, you're not watching really much Marvel movies, you don't go to the cinema to see any, you're just kind of hooked on the DCEU, maybe you're like me. Now, here's the thing with me. There are not many DC films I actually like, now that I look back at all the DC films I've seen. Besides the DCEU films, there's only two DC films that I actually like. And those two DC films are from Tim Burton. They are Batman 1989 and Batman 1992. And I always wondered, why did I like those two DC films? And what do they have in common with the DCEU? And I figured it out. The DCEU takes risks, and it's kind of edgy. I like that. I like the edginess in the DCEU. You gotta excuse me. My throat's giving me a little trouble. The other thing that's very interesting about the DCEU is that I realized some of the actors playing roles in the DCEU were actually people who said they would have nothing to do with superhero movies because they thought spandex, kind of superficial. They never really took those things seriously. Until Zack Snyder. And they felt the same way I felt about superhero movies. The last superhero movie I watched was in 2006 before Man of Steel. And that was X-Men The Last Stand. I laughed my ass off when Wolverine killed Phoenix, Jean Grey. I cracked up. It was all good. People didn't like that, but I kind of enjoyed the ending because it was so unpredictable. But it's not dark humor that I like, really. Even though that's sometimes I like things that are shocking, surprising. I like situational humor, definitely. I'm not really into slapstick humor, unless you're Martin Lawrence going really full out in Bad Boys 2. You gonna have me rolling. But other than that, not really. But I think the thing that really grabbed me was the idea that this was not your typical superhero movie. Every single DCEU movie has been different in creativity, in presentation, and also they had substance. They literally have something that you take with you as you leave the movie and use in life. Kind of changes your perception on life as well. And that's, I think, what attracted Russell Crowe to Man of Steel, because he realized it was so enlightening about the role of Jor-El, and he said, I got to play this role. I got to play this. I think that's what got Michael Shannon roped in, even though Michael Shannon did not want to wear spandex. He was like, can we not do the spandex thing? And they ended up doing it. That's what I think roped in Diane Lane, Kevin Costner, and a host of other people. The most recent I heard was Kiri Clemens. She was the last one. Kiersey Clemens. She didn't want to do no superhero flick, and then she went on the Justice League set, and she was like, yeah, she got blown away, and she was like, yeah, I'm doing this. Because I think the approach to the DC comic films of the DCEU is kind of the approach to sci-fi film. It's more sci-fi than it is comic booky. But yet it's comic booky because it shouts out to the comics like crazy. You know what I mean? And that shouting out to the comics is what got me back into comics. And I started reading all kinds of comics. Because the characters that come through is not your usual characters that you hear about in the comics. And then the characters you see, they have dimension to them. They have depth to them. And you learn so much about them, and as you're learning about them, you're learning about yourself and mankind at the same time. So that's what I like about the DCEU, and that's why I got hooked on it. Now, did you guys get hooked on the DCEU for the same reason? I mean, think about it. Henry Cavill's Superman is probably the most deeply delved into Superman of all Superman in any live action performance and in any animated performance. And reminds me a lot of the Superman from the comics. He's got more dimension to him than just, I am for truth, justice, and the American way. And he put my hands on my hips. Bop, bop, bop. And I am a Boy Scout. Yes, he's a Boy Scout. But why? Why is it that he's adverse to killing? Why is it that Superman looks to inspire other people? Why? This is what Man of Steel answered. Why is it that Superman, who's an alien, he's not from Earth, why is it, with all his superior powers and abilities, he always can't help helping people instead of killing and hurting people and putting his authority down on people? Why is he that way? And that was answered in Man of Steel and continued in Batman v Superman, to the extent of which, even when people rejected him, when he had people who hated him, who thought he wasn't a hero, who wanted him hung and burnt, yes, he was discouraged for a moment because he could not help, where he felt powerless. He felt hopeless. And he had to sit down, reconsolidate himself, and get back that hope. Thinking about the people who believed in him, like Lois Lane, who hadn't faded in her belief in him, his mother, which is a sense of family, of course. That's deep. And that's what drew me to Superman. It wasn't the same old Brandon Roth Superman cloning Henry Cavill in a serious world, and why did he leave, and why is he coming back? You know, it's a kind of romantic story, but there's no depth to it. There's no depth to Superman. Why does he have these ideals? What is he about? How does he encourage us to be hopeful? How can we be hopeful? How can Superman be a part of me, you? And that's what that arc of Superman did through Man of Steel all the way into Batman v Superman. So well said by Rebecca, by the way, if you haven't watched her video yet. And so Henry Cavill's Superman is a hell of a Superman. I love his Superman. And oh my God, look at this guy. This guy is a work of art, isn't he? Look at this. Just physically, he feels like Superman. And then he's got this regal presence all the way through him. Now, let me just make it abundantly clear. I'm not against Tyler Hoechlin's Superman. And there's a lot of people who like Tyler Hoechlin's Superman. Even though they gave him so much shit talk, they turned around and said, oh, this is the best Superman ever. And some people say, look, he even smiles and everything. And Henry Cavill's Superman is such a gloomy, moody Superman. Tyler Hoechlin's Superman is better. Some people say that. And I ain't knocking them. I understand where they're coming from. It's a familiar thing they've seen with Christopher Reeves and live action Superman, like what's that guy who was in Lewis and Clark? I can't remember. But to me, Henry Cavill's Superman is more like the Smallville Superman. And the Smallville Superman, you hardly saw him smile a lot. Okay? Tyler Hoechlin's Superman is more engaging. He's more like a Christopher Reeves model. He's more like Lewis and Clark Superman. And I'm cool with it. I mean, it's okay. It's just, to me, it's more superficial. There isn't much depth to it. Whereas the Smallville Superman, Tom, what's his name? Tom, guys, help me with the rest of his name. I can't remember the rest of his name. He played a really nice, deep Superman where abnormal things are happening in Smallville, and it's all cool and well and dandy, and I like that. So, yeah, Tom Hoechlin's Superman is fine, but he's not better than Henry Cavill's Superman, obviously, because he's a television Superman, sitcom Superman. He can't be greater than, you know, the movie Superman, so it is what it is. But I do like Tom Hoechlin's Superman. Don't get it twisted. But but I don't feel like I have to go see him. Like, you know how I went and see Man of Steel 6 times in the cinema. Batman v Superman wasn't going to catch me dead not seeing that movie. I saw it 10 times, okay? There's something about Henry Cavill that his Superman, this is Tom Holland, this frickin' Henry Cavill, Tom Holland, frickin' Henry Cavill. It's like a beast. The other thing I like about Superman was he had a beard, man. Superman had a beard. He had hair. You know, every time we see freaking Superman, he's always clean shaven. Ah, come on. You know, Superman was like a guy like any one of us. And I really loved all of that. And people were saying Superman was flawed. I didn't see any flaws in Superman. I saw his ideals were the same, but I understood why he had his ideals. I understood why he didn't want to kill after Man of Steel. Why he's very hesitant to kill. I understood it, and quite frankly, I don't know about you guys, but shit, man, Henry Cavill's the best Superman I've ever seen. Different people have different opinions, but I think he's so comic book accurate. It's not funny. Hell of a character, and such an inspiring person to be around. So yeah, and then same thing with Grant Gustin and Ezra Miller as the Flash. One guy was just telling me that he thought that Barry Allen was a comedian, and he was like the guy from, I forgot what it is, the nerd dude on television, the television sitcom with all the nerds. Can't remember the name of it. And he was cloning Barry Allen. I'm like, dude, Barry Allen in this movie is going to actually be a scientist. This Barry Allen by Grant Gustin hasn't been a scientist. The guys doing all the stuff to make his suit and everything, those dudes are the scientists. Grant Gustin is not the scientist in this in this Flash series. If you paid attention, he's like the guinea pig dude, who he just does the running. Everybody else does the science. Barry Allen made his own damn suit. You know, the guy or girl, I think it was a girl, was talking about how the characters are not right. They're not done right. I'm like, what the hell is she talking about? You know. But, you know, it's to each his own. I don't know what she means by that, because she says she reads comics every week, but apparently she doesn't read DC Comics every week because she's promoting Valiant Comics, but whatever. But the point is that when I look at Barry Allen here, he's pretty much like Barry Allen that I know from the comics. Barry Allen wasn't a fighter. In the Grant Gustin TV show, he's fighting Dr. Zoom and stuff, but freaking Flash don't fight. He runs. He chases down people. You know, he pushes people. That's what Flash do. Flash don't kick and cuff. It's only up to recently there in the Injustice game we see Flash actually using moves and beating up people, and he knows martial arts. Flash don't know martial arts, folks. Go read all the Flashes. You have Jay Garrick. You have Wally West. They're speedsters. They're fast. They don't know about. They don't know how to fight, and the Flash doesn't know how to fight, and that makes sense. You know, that was a big joke in the trailer, but truth be told, Flash don't know how to fight. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't. As long as I knew the Flash, he never knew how to fight. Even the 1990s Flash. Let me see if I can show you the 1990s Flash. This Flash, he's big and he's strong, but he was speedy. He was fast. That was what that was the thing that made him cool. He was fast, and that's how he caught criminals. It wasn't because he could fight. Flash didn't know how to fight. Flash don't know how to fight. He knows how to run. And this Flash looks bulky and everything because back in the day, sprinters were stocky and strong and powerful looking. So this is why this Flash looked like that. Like he was pumping weights or something. And the first time I saw that 1990s Flash, it was so mind-boggling because I'd never seen the Flash move that fast. And then they used that same formula on this Flash, and they changed his uniform and costuming so that he doesn't really look like... They say this is the standard, you know, this is like the classic Flash uniform. This is the classic Flash uniform, I know. Not this, but hey, it's all good. To each his own. Whatever you want to say, I mean, cool. You know, you grow up with the CW. I didn't grow up with the CW, so yeah, I get it. So, yeah, so the CW doesn't really appeal to me. Marvel movies don't really appeal to me. There are very few, like Captain America, the First Avenger. There's a development. There's actually an arc for Captain America there. He has to learn to work with a team. He has to learn. He wants to fight, but, you know, and he has certain attributes, but he has to develop other attributes, you know. And that's what was interesting about Captain America, the First Avenger. Winter Soldier had great action sequences. I love that people died. People died in that movie and stuff, and there were some stakes. But at the end of the day, it was just about him and Bucky, pretty much, and Hydra's plan, and that was basically it. It just still didn't give me something to really carry in my life, you know. So the CW, I don't look forward to any of the Marvel movies. I'm sorry, guys. Really sorry. It's just the way I feel. Except for Black Panther. I want to see it, but I'm hoping it has something I can take away into my daily existence. Not just, you know, a story about Black Panther and I leave and, yeah, Black Panther did this and this and this and this. Why? I don't want that. You know, Civil War was like that. And most of the Marvel movies are like that. Spider-Man Homecoming was exactly like that. You're commenting on Spider-Man, but nothing for your life. You know what I'm saying? I'm not interested about Infinity War. I'm sorry, guys, but this is just the way how I feel. I'm really interested in DC and plugged into it because I like how the DCEU gives you something back. Wonder Woman gave me something back. Batman v Superman gave me something back. Man of Steel gave me something back, you know? And it reminds me a little bit of Tim Burton stuff, too. Zack Snyder reminds me of Tim Burton. And you know what's so cool about that? If I were to say something, guys, the other cool thing about that is that Zack Snyder, you know, Tim Burton was cool because of Danny Elfman. And it's so cool to come full circle. Junkie XL was, you know, copying off of Tim Burton. Now Tim Burton, I can't believe it. Tim Burton is back. Tim Burton, we got Tim Burton back. Yo, I'm still tripping over this. I gotta calm down. But we got Tim Burton back. So Junkie did the framework. Tim Burton's back, baby. Woo! I love it. I love it. I love it. Everything comes full circle. I hope that somehow, not Tim Burton. What am I saying? Tim Burton. Shoot. I mean Danny Elfman. Aw. Danny Elfman's back. That's what I wanted to say. But Tim Burton, I would love to have Tim Burton do one of those DCEU movies. I don't know which one, but I would love to see Tim Burton back there. Somehow it comes full circle with DC. That would be awesome. But, you know, Tim Burton's working on different projects, so we'll see. So the same person was telling me how they thought that Aquaman was this Jesus-looking surfing dude. And he was insulting Aquaman. You know, it's so funny because Jason Momoa's Aquaman is so much like Aquaman, it's not funny. I don't know if you guys know this run of Aquaman here, where he's going up against Wonder Woman here. But, see, Aquaman versus the Justice League. And, I don't know if this dude knows, but Aquaman looks like Jason Momoa. He's a Jesus-looking dude as well. You know, it's just, when you hear people who just don't know about comics and lore, they might have read some comics, like they're probably reading the Jeff Johns Rebirth runs right now, but they don't really know about the lore of the comics. They just like never went that far back or whatever. It's really sad, man. So yeah, this is a version of Aquaman. You see Mira in the middle, Aquaman fighting Noble here. I don't know if you guys know, they were fighting for King of the Seas here. And here's Aquaman again in Aquaman comics. And you know what's so amazing about this? Look at Jason Momoa here. Look at Jason Momoa. Look at that. That is absolutely replicating this. I mean, come on, folks. I mean, come on. Come on. How much more what more do I need to say? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, these people have audacity to talk about Elseworld comics and whatever. Wherever this person wants to borrow from the lore of the comics, they can. And, you know, I listened also on Collider Heroes. And this dude was talking about how Cyborg, he was part of Teen Titans. No, Nightwing. He was part of Teen Titans. And, you know, he thinks about the original runs of Nightwing. Dude, if you're going to do the original runs of Nightwing, you better do the original runs of Batman. Alright? Because the original runs of Batman was a weirdo of the night, and he used to snap people's necks. He used to shoot people. Alright? So if you really want to go pure, and with the original runs of things, because you grew up with that, then you got to go with the original runs of Batman. But I think this is what happens. People identify with the runs they grow up with. And if they liked it, they get attached to that. That's what I really feel. Because there's many rebooting and reenact and different versions of characters. And now with Geoff Johns' Rebirth, you're able to see all those variations, which is really cool. But quite frankly, for this person to ignorantly say that, Aquaman, he don't look like Jason Momoa and stuff. Even look at Jason Momoa's hair. It almost looks blonde, which is the other weird thing about this. So this Aquaman completely matches up to Jason Momoa, and he's so aggressive too. Completely matches up with Jason Momoa's Aquaman, and it's just so stupid when I hear people say the things they do. But hey, it is what it is, So if you guys feel the same way like I do, that you're attached to the DCEU, not so much to the DC. You like DC Comics, because the nice thing about DC Comics, in my opinion, I mean, it depends on who's writing, of course, but the nice thing about DC Comics, in my opinion, is that sometimes they go deeper into not just the characters, but also into the world we live in. A lot of stuff that comes in BVS was actually said in different DC comics. They were ripped from the pages of the comics and said by the characters in the movie. So, and that's what makes the Batman v Superman have so much depth. I don't know if Justice League can beat it back, but I do know Danny Elfman will be there. I hope Tim Burton at some point in time in the DCEU, he gets to join the DCEU and do something, because I just think they should pay some homage back to Tim Burton. I mean, Batman v Superman paid homage to Tim Burton and the musical score and the Batman, etc. But I hear people banging and bashing on Tim Burton. I'm a huge Tim Burton fan when it comes to the two Batman films he did. I think that Tim Burton did an excellent job at both of them, and as I said before, I love the 1992 Batman more than I do the 1989 Batman. And you can say how much it's Tim Burton-y or whatever, and it's so violent, whatever, and the Penguins not being like the Penguins. You can say whatever you want to say. I love those films. All right. Now, I was reading comics before, not heavily, but I was reading comics in school. I was in elementary school. I was reading comics in elementary school. I saw when Batman became dark. He really became dark. I remember when his capes got long, really long. Batman used to have shorter capes, and then he got this really long draped cape, and he was the Dark Knight, they called him. I remember all of that. So, I think people don't know this, but of course Batman works together with Robin, and there's a whole Bat family thing going on. There's that aspect of Batman, but there was a time when Batman was very dark as well. And so my point is, you can't tell me what comics not to select from to do a movie. You could say, I'm attached to this Batman, and this is the Batman I know, right? But you can't tell people, oh, this is not comic book actress, you got to get the characters right. What? I almost cursed there. What the hell are you talking about, get the characters right? This is coming straight from comic book lore. What are you talking about? All right, so, and Tim Burton borrowed from the same The Dark Knight Returns comic. In fact, Christopher Nolan borrowed from the Dark Knight Returns comic. So I don't know what the heck these idiotic peoples be saying. Anyway, before I lose my mind and start cursing and swearing, I want to talk to you about what I love. If you love the DCU like I do, but not so much the other things, but you will watch them if you could, and they're not necessarily bad, it's just that you're not as enthusiastic about them as the DCEU, leave some comments in the comment section of why you think you feel that way. On that note, you guys have a great one.